Heyo, and welcome back to my channel. Today I wanted to talk to them about faith, just kind of a conglomeration of thoughts that I've had on it in light of the panic attacks. A lot of this was sparked by reading Romans 4 in our Bible study, which talks about how Abraham was justified by faith and just the kind of confidence that he and Sarah had in light of the promise that God gave them. And yeah, I was just really encouraged by the way that they dealt with the promise of God, because with the panic attacks, I don't know, I was pretty sure that wasn't just going to be my life forever. So you kind of have the promise of God that seasons change, circumstances shift. That wasn't going to be the place that I was going to be in forever and ever for the rest of my life. And yet it's still this feeling of helplessness because I don't know when it's going to be over. And I'm not promised that it's going to be over, I guess. Bless you. Bless you. And so that was very difficult to be in that place, trying to reconcile my understanding of God and his kindness of that he wasn't going to leave me there forever with not having any idea when it was going to be over. And so I feel kind of in a similar place with Abraham and Sarah of having a promise of God that it looks impossible, that you're not able to control. Nothing that they did could change their circumstances. It really was just waiting on God to fulfill this promise that he made and to do what he said he was going to do. And I feel that was the place that I was in, just not being able to do anything for myself and having to come to that realization and be honest with that terrifying fact of there is nothing I can do about this. I can't make this stop. I can't say when this season is going to be over. I can't be okay, I've had enough. We're done. We're moving on. I've learned everything I can from this. Let's just get to the good times now. I really was just waiting on God to provide a rescue, to put me in a new season, lead me somewhere else. And that's really hard. That takes a kind of strength that I didn't think that I had to continue to follow him and bear up under that. It was really difficult, really hard, really dark. And it was very hard to keep believing all of these things about God. Bless you! About God and his character when it seemed like all of those were proving to be lies just by the circumstances that I was in. It's very hard to keep believing what I've been told is true, what I believe is true. I do feel that was very good for my faith. I really like the part in Romans 4. Verse 19 says, without weakening in his faith, he, Abraham, faced the fact that his body was as good as dead, since he was about 100 years old, and that Sarah's womb was also dead. Yet he did not waver through unbelief regarding the promise of God, but was strengthened in his faith and gave glory to God, being fully persuaded that God had power to do what he had promised. This is why it was credited to him as righteousness. And that's so encouraging that Abraham was able to, have the honesty to look at the situation and be there's no earthly way for this to be possible. I don't know how this is going to work, and yet God said that he was going to do it, and so I believe that he is going to do it, and so I'm going to hold out for him to do it, because I know that that's coming. That we don't have to hide from the reality of our circumstances in order to believe in God and to hope for good things from him. And just because there's no earthly way, that does not at all negate God's promise. There's no way for us to accomplish this ourselves, so what? That doesn't make it any harder or easier for God to come through on our behalf. We have faith in a God who, the very first thing that we learn about him in Genesis 1 is that he creates out of nothing. He just has to speak and it comes into being. And that was so encouraging to remember. I'm he can do it. If I don't see a way, or if I can't make a way, that has no bearing on whether or not he can and will fulfill his promise. Hey, that doesn't make it any less likely that he's going to come through for me. And that was just really encouraging. And so I feel that hard season really was building a good faith in me to hold on to the character of God when I don't see how it's going to be proven true and I don't see how he's going to come through for me, but to just keep believing that he is who he says he is. And then I have been able to see that again, which has been so sweet and so encouraging and so fulfilling to be wow, I made it. I feel I am on the other side. I feel he has brought me through. He's taught me things. And I feel I can appreciate in a new light the verse in James 1 that says, count it all joy, my brothers, when you encounter various trials, knowing that the testing of your faith produces perseverance. That I can be grateful for the trials because they prove a more genuine faith in me. It tests my faith and produces perseverance and shows me that I don't have to be afraid of what comes, because every single time God has been faithful, and every time I've faced something that I thought was too big for me, God has brought me through. And I can be grateful for the ways that going through hard things makes me rely on God and does grow this deeper strength and does grow the deeper faith and helps me to know that yes, I'm actually fully believing in him and committing myself to him, that I'm not just in this because I believe that it's going to make my life easy and happy. I'm in it for him and for this relationship, and I can hold on and believe in him and persevere even when it looks like he's not being faithful and it looks like he's not keeping his word. That like trials like that really shake my perception of who God is don't have to shake my faith in who he is, and don't have to make me give up and let go. And then I just kept thinking, I don't need my circumstances to change, and really wanting to believe that what I need is not to be put into a different situation. I don't need this season to be over. That's not what I need to be happy. What I really need is to experience God. And that's true in all situations, in all the hard things that I've been through, whether it's been a hard season or just like a very difficult moment. Like what I need is not for the cup to be taken away from me necessarily. What I really need is to experience God. And sometimes the way that he shows me his heart for me is to remove the situation, is to rescue me from that, is to change my perception, flip my mood around, and like lead me somewhere totally different. And I'm like, wow, praise you, God, because you're so beautiful. You love me so much. I feel that you want good things for me. And sometimes how I experience him is in the middle of the darkness, remembering his heart for me, holding on to that, recalling who he's been to me before and his faithfulness, and clinging to that, and coming to this experience of his kindness to me and his love for me in the middle of where I am, as he says, no, I'm not going to remove you from this situation, but will you trust me? Do you love me anyway? Do you believe that I love you? And I have been able to experience him in the middle of the hard things. And so I don't want to fall for the lie that what I need to be happy is to be in happy situations and circumstances. Like what I really need is God, and I am able to experience him, like I talked about last week. I am able to experience him in every moment, and whatever God hands me in each moment is what I need to lead me to an experience of him. And so I don't need him to take away these panic attacks and fill me with so much peace and joy and put me in this great season. Like I just need him to come to me right now in the middle of the deep fear that I'm experiencing that is trying to overwhelm all of my other senses and all of my other thoughts. I just need an experience of him in this moment. I need to know that he loves me right here. And I don't need him to promise that it's all going to be over or like set a date. I just have to hold out till then and then it's going to be gone. I just need to trust him in every moment and give my heart to him in every moment. Those are some of my final closing out thoughts of that hard season of the panic attacks, which, yeah, I feel like it's over and God is leading me into more of a season of peace. And yet, if they come back, that's okay. I know that he will lead me through that as well and give me the strength to keep facing them if they keep coming back. But I do feel like it's kind of the end of that season. And so, yeah, that's some of the thoughts that I'm left with of what I've learned and what I'm thinking about. He is faithful, and yeah, I want to have a stronger and deeper faith in him every day. And I am grateful for the hard things that he puts me through that make that possible and do strengthen my faith, because you can say it all day like, God, I believe in you, God, I trust you, God, I give everything for you, but you can't know that you mean it until you're actually faced with the reality of what it means to fully surrender everything to God and trust him when it looks like he is untrustworthy. So do count it all joy in all of your trials and just wait on the Lord. Have faith in him. He does rescue, he does keep his promise, he does live up to who he is. And so may our faith be strengthened in that and in who he is. Thank you for watching, and goodbye until more interesting things happen.